This is Larry Taylor with the Real Life Street Stars. Some real good brothers and sisters who are trying to do a positive thing and build something, man. And so support them, subscribe, because we need all our platforms and all our startup companies like this to do well and be successful so that they can hire people. So some of y'all might need a job. So subscribe, tell someone to subscribe so that they blow up and they can hire your cousin and he can stop asking you for $20.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real life street stars. You know what time it is. Real life street stars. We got a very special situation going on. It's very few times where we get to talk to the other side of the streets. You know, we have a lot of street stars on the couch, and when we have someone on your side who technically job is either to defend or prosecute the streets, which I'll let you introduce yourself and you can tell the people what side you're on. But with that being said, you know, it's an honor to have you here, Larry of the Cochran Law Firm. If you don't mind, please reintroduce yourself and tell them what it is that you do and what side are you on if, you know, when it comes to the law side of things, prosecution, criminal defense. Go ahead.
So my name is Larry Taylor. I'm the managing partner for the Johnny Cochran Law Firm in Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico. And what side I'm on, I'm not on anyone's side, but I'm always going to remain on the right side because sides change.
That's some real stuff.
And so I don't choose any side other than to be right and to make sure that, like I told you guys before, anything that I do to support my community to ensure that it's enriched from whatever experiences I have, because I think it's important.
Can I ask you, and this is for you personally and those around you, you grew up in Houston?
Grew up in Houston, partially. Born in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval.
Oh, shout out Duval County.
Duval County, and then moved to Third Ward, stayed in the CUNY homes with my mom and my dad, eventually making my way through Acres Home to Garden City, to Greenspoint.
Come on now. Okay,
so,
no side.
Yeah. And
shout out, we had 50-50 here, 50-50 twin up in here a couple of days ago. He really repped that no side. Thug everybody.
Hey man, look, Houston is a beautiful place. So is Dallas. And, you know, I think I'm fortunate enough to have been educated by those communities, but at the same time, to be able to come out of those communities in a way that I'm now able to give back.
So that's why I want to ask, as far as to pursue law, was that ever your interest? Was it your parents' interest, or was there anyone around you, maybe a cute girl that said, I'm gonna be a lawyer when I grow up?
So ran track at Texas A&M.
Shout out to A&M to that.
Were you fast?
I threw the shot in discus, but I was fast.
Okay.
So I started off as a 400 and hurdle runner, and I was just good at the discus. And so my junior year, I made all district nose guard on a fluke because I played linebacker, and they put me down on the line, and I was averaging maybe a sack or two a game. And so it stuck. And you know, like that first year, you're surprised. I was 170 pounds. I knew the following year I was going to get double teamed, so I put on weight. So I couldn't necessarily continue to run the 400 after gaining about 20 pounds. But in the discus, I was dangerous. I was real dangerous. So went to qualify for the Junior Olympic trials in Minnesota in college my freshman year. This is Larry Taylor, TaylorMadeLaw.com, Cochran, Texas. If you got this far, make sure you like, subscribe, watch it again. Go ahead and set your AI to review and watch it every 5 minutes so that we continue to get these views up. So do what you can to support this company and what they're doing. Uh,
I have to ask, and I'm gonna let you finish that, but we're in the Olympics right now,
right.
in the Paris, of course. People, when the discus come on, some people turn that off. Do you get upset? Like,
No, man.
okay, just make
Look. I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody has their own cup of tea. You got people who love Burger King French fries. I personally won't touch them. But if that's what you like, that's what you like. I can't be mad about anything that you like as long as it doesn't keep me from enjoying my life.
There you go. All right, go ahead.
But shout out to Bryce Deadman, who's my fraternity brother and a fellow Aggie, and he will be representing us in the 400 or on the 400 relay.
Okay, hell yeah. All right, definitely. Gotta stay tuned in. We were talking off camera, and again, I know you're speaking on your path towards, law. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, so we got sidetracked just a little bit.
There you go.
So you asked me, how did I get into law? I was pre-med in college, started my first business, ended up moving to Dallas, and became an investment banker. And so I did investment banking for some time, and I was married. And I think I've been married about 9 years at that point, and I was 35. And so one day, my wife, who was a lawyer, I told her I could be a better lawyer than she could. So, like,
on what merits did you say that?
Dude, as husband and wife, and just as a dude, trash talking.
So you went into arguments in the house.
And so I never won an argument in the house. So she whooped me, but I told her I could still be a better lawyer than she could. So we were coming back from Florida. She pulled over at Barnes and Noble. She went inside. I said, "Where you going?" She comes out and she has a bag with a book in it, throws it in the car, hit me in my head. She said, "Open it up." It said LSAT preparation. I said, "What's this?" She said, "You say you can be a better lawyer than me? The exam's in 3 months. Start studying." So I didn't even register. She registered me. She showed me. She said, "Look, you take the exam. You better start studying." Studied, passed the exam, or did well on the exam. And so I had one of the best financial months in my life. Like I killed it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it was one of those street star moments where I'm finna get blinged up. I'm finna do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she calls me to her office. She says, "Hey boy, where you going to school? Choose one." So she had sent my test scores in to the colleges, and I had been accepted to the law schools. And so she was like, "Choose one." So I chose to go to TSU because my dad played football there, and my mom went to school there after leaving Bethune. And since I learned about tradition, I just wanted to go to a HBCU. Everybody in my family went to a HBCU but me up until that point. Now, my daughter's going to law school and she wants to go. She's going to TSU as well.
So basically, you becoming who you are today, your wife played a big part in that. How important is it on this sort of journey to have a good partner?
Man, it's imperative. It is absolutely crucial because as a Black man, we really don't have the support that we need, especially amongst each other, right? Like if you and I are married and you call me stupid and told me I wasn't going to ever be anything, I can't come to these guys and be like, "Man, my girl hurt my feelings. She told me I wasn't going to be nothing." They'd be like, "Dude, what are you doing? Shut up. Let's go to the club. Find you another one." Right? And so when you have a partner who builds you and doesn't break you down, it makes you can feel like you can do anything. After the tech bubble burst, and I was in the financial industry, 9/11, I lost over $100,000. I was sick. And I was supposed to make more money that day. I had clients that I was going to sign up. I was depressed. My wife picked my chin up. She said, "Hey, I'm finna make your favorite dish. I want you to go upstairs, take a shower. We're going to have a great night. I'm going to lay your suit out. And then tomorrow you're going to put on your suit and you're going to be Larry motherfucking Taylor. That's who I married. That's what you're going to do. And dude, I went out there, hustled, and did what I needed to do. And so it's just important to have a good woman with you, not necessarily behind you, but with you, side by side. So when you start stumbling, they can hold you up and vice versa.
Amen. I know my partners ain't gonna throw no book at me to go to law. And then they ain't gonna pull over and go in no Barnes and Nobles and do none of that.
Well, another story is I was hanging out with my homegirls and they told me my wife played me. So they said, when you graduated from law school, did your wife work as hard as she did before? I said, no. They said, what does she do now? I said, she works for me. She said, when was the last time you seen her in the office? I said, I can't remember. I picked up my phone. I said, girl, did you play me? Send me knowing I was going to make money and you was going to be able to take it easy? And so that's the running joke now.
Hold on, Larry. You should want to retire your wife, though. You should, technically. Or you want her to work? You want her to work?
I want her to accomplish her dreams and do anything that she wants to do. Yeah. But she's going to always be taken care of. So she has no wants.
Oh, man. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get right to it. Let's go backwards a little bit because I don't want to say you weren't always on the up and up, but you have a history. You have a past in growing up as an adolescent in H-Town. Yeah. To where some people around the neighborhood might not see you as Larry, the attorney, sitting before us today. You had some trials and trepidation that you had to get through. What was that? Was because it is Houston, and most people can get affiliated, especially of our color, caught up in gang activity, caught up trying to prove themselves to people around the block. Did you ever have those scenarios that come up? Did you have any trials that came up? That
most definitely. Most definitely. I didn't have any family in Houston. It was only myself, my mom, and my dad. My sister and I are 10 years apart, and she's younger. And so my dad told me, he said, man, look, you live in the land of hyenas and lions. Each one of those animals have a leader. When they come at you, you figure out who the leader is, you knock them smooth out, and it confuses the rest because now they don't know what to do. And so I just had a reputation at a young age of I ain't play mama jokes. I was cool. I would give you the shirt off my back, but you cross me, I'm gonna make sure you never ever want to fight again. And so it was that anger growing up in that community. Even now, I hate to say it, but when we go into our communities, bro, if you show teeth, people want to know what's up with you, right? If you don't have that look of don't come this way, and I always tell people, predators don't attack predators. Yeah. They attack prey. So unfortunately, in our communities, you can't look like prey. You can't walk around with a Rolex and jewelry at the wrong time of day showing teeth. You best better look like you are not the person to deal with, right? Because predators know if you attack another predator and you don't get up on top early, you can become the victim. And so growing up, man, I grew up like that. But fortunately, I had some dudes in the neighborhood, some OGs, who were like, dude, I heard you make good grades and I saw your picture in the paper. I said, yeah. And they were like, man, why you out here fighting and wilding out and hanging with us? I said, it's my neighborhood. They was like, nah, man, go back in the house. Don't even come up to the park no more.
You said there was a situation in which someone put a gun to your face.
Yeah.
Were you looking like prey at the time, or?
Nah, man, it was one of them situations where it was you walking through a neighborhood and somebody didn't know who you were. And so at that time, we had a a projects neighborhood that had burned down, and a lot of them had transplanted over to our side of town. And so he pointed the gun. He regretted pointing the gun, but after that, the other people outside let him know that he pointed the gun at the wrong person, and they could have told him before he found out.
Did you really swing on that man with a gun in your face? I mean, it sounds like you got a death wish. I don't know.
Knowing what you know now about the world and just being a little older and wiser, would you still do that?
Nah, man. Nah. At this point in my life, man, if I got a beef with somebody, I'm like, dude, let's go grab a burger and a drink and let's find out what we can do for each other.
You know, I asked that because you have dudes that wear this persona that, you know, if you but really that's the last place you want to be in is in behind the barrel of a gun, you know.
No.
I mean, in front of the barrel of a gun.
No. I don't say that to glorify, because I don't even want to fight now, right? Why do I want to fight somebody? Man, why I want to fight somebody who look like me?
For sure.
We got a hard enough time just moving around, period. So why I need to fight somebody or anybody, right? Okay, if you got anger issues, you had a bad day, you know what, man? Look, come here. Let's sit down. Let me buy you a drink and a cigar. Let's sit, talk. I'll let you vibe for a second. Let's just figure out what it is. You need a job? Okay, let me pick up the phone and call someone and get you a job. You know, you need this, you need that. Let me figure out what we could do to put you in a better position, because not that I'm fearful for me, but because I don't want you to do something that's going to get you locked up, because there's nothing worse than walking through those jails. It's like walking through a zoo with a mirror on the other side of those bars.
That's real.
And so I don't want to see you locked up. I don't even have to know you. I don't want to see you locked up. So let's find a way to keep that from happening.
I like that. Instead of having beef, let's go have a burger.
For lack of better words, you not want to see people get locked up. You landed in a funny profession.
Man, you don't even know the half of it.
So let's go there.
Yeah, you know. I vowed in law school I would never practice criminal law. You know, I was an investment banker. I wanted to work for a big financial industry or a big financial bank and do international transactions, right? I want to fly on G5s, you know, help Jeff B move, you know, this money over here to this money over there. I wanted to do those type of transactions. And so after leaving the Texas legislature, I had a friend who basically did what you guys do. He was a producer for one of the top rated reality shows when reality shows first started. I'm not gonna say the names, but they were filming here in Texas. And so he went to the set early to get things ready and ended up getting arrested for being Black on this location. Well, when when they stopped him, they said they had a warrant for him in Arizona. So he calls me. I'm trying to help him get out of jail. We hire a quack as a lawyer. We pay this guy this money. My dude's still sitting in jail. I don't know what to do because I don't practice criminal law. I was so green. I was waiting for visiting hours. I didn't know that as a lawyer, I could go in 24 hours a day and see my client. And so, yeah. And so once I figured that out, so long story short, he gets transferred to Arizona in handcuffs after being in jail 3 months, loses his job, only to get to Arizona for the Arizona authorities to say, who is this?
Wow.
And I said, I have to learn about this criminal justice system. I said, because that made no sense. And I never want anybody that I love to be in that situation and me feel helpless when I have the tools to help. So I became a prosecutor.
Just off, how many individuals you think go into the system and just be lost, just become lost, like they're just in there?
Enough that it'll make me cry. Enough that it, because we don't have the money and we don't have the resources a lot of times, and we don't even know how to begin to fight these charges that we get. And to be honest with you, in our community, a lot of times TS is the word. Man, Ty served that. Man, Ty served that. But you don't know, most people don't know, after so many misdemeanors, your next misdemeanor automatically becomes a felony.
Right.
And so they'll tell you, they want to build your criminal resume so that they can put you away.
Right.
Why not be defensive attorney instead of a prosecutor? Why prosecutor?
I became a prosecutor because it was an easier avenue to learn the criminal justice system, and you get paid.
Right.
So a lot of people mistake, oh man, prosecutors are bad people. Right. Well, I got to do what my predecessors did for people who look like them.
Oh, okay.
So you come in, you got a weed charge. They gave Timmy a drug class dismissal. I'm giving Tyrone a drug class dismissal. Right. What's good for him is good for him. Just because he doesn't live in a $2 million home and he live in the CUNY homes, they the same age. They in the same grade. Why are we treating one different than the other? And so that was the power that I had as a prosecutor.
All right, Larry. What we're about to do now, of course, the Street Stars portion of this, of course, we gotta kind of go into it to where, before we even get to like the nitty gritty of what's going on in the world, the Cochran Law Firm, which is named after Johnny Cochran.
Yes.
Did you begin this? Did someone else? Do you have a predecessor that begun this, or do you be
my law partner?
Your law partner.
My law partner, Brian.
Can I ask you, what are your thoughts on Johnny Cochran himself in the OJ case?
Masterful.
Ooh.
Elegant.
Oh, okay.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
And someone that we all should know more about, because his vein of his existence, coming from Shreveport, Louisiana, moving to California, was the protection of us.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that people of color had a fair opportunity in representation, and good representation, right? I'm not going to give you a piece of hot fish on a napkin. I'm going to give you a paper napkin. I'm going to give you fine china, gold-plated spoon or fork, a crystal glass of refreshments, and a black tablecloth.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you 5-star treatment, even though you have Section 7 money. Like you too poor to even afford Section 8. You at Section 7, right? Section 8 is an upgrade.
Right.
You're going to get the best.
So let's go ahead and go down that path. During the LA riots,
mm-hmm.
Of course, you have Rodney King and the case that happened with the police officers that, of course, assaulted them. In regards, you see them walk free. You're old enough to know what's going on at this time.
Yes, I am.
Yes. So you see that in LA. This time you're in Houston, right?
Yes.
All right. So you see the environment of the country of the Rodney King situation.
Right.
OJ, a couple of years later,
yep.
is tried for murder. It seems like an open and shut case based on him in a Bronco with a gun to his head.
Mhm.
It seems like this. I mean, like he did it. Like, well, but we'll watch. We'll watch. When you see, like, of course, definitely rest in peace to O.J. Simpson. When you see his case being brought back up after his passing, you see the Oprah reaction where you see the Caucasians just silent as they read the verdict, while Black people celebrated. What are your thoughts when you look at that case for what it was? And I'm not saying who's guilty or innocent, just for the case itself, OJ not guilty. What are your thoughts as a young man, as a young Black American man living in America?
I honestly believe that the celebration that people had was a celebration in a moment that, yes, this country too is for us. The laws also work for us. Even though it might have been inspiration in the blink of an eye, when you've been oppressed by a system for so long, to see something that looked like it worked, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at that moment, actually meant something. That meant that people had doubt, and it was doubt that they couldn't find or get past it being reasonable in a sense.
Correct. The glove was that it? Was that like what? As an attorney now, if you was prosecuting that case, would you have had OJ put that glove on just from looking at it? Like, I don't know if it's big enough. Would you have said, let's have him put on the glove that was found on the scene?
I would say this to all young lawyers. Bruh, do not treat the law like a, what do you call it? The AAU basketball. Don't try to take that shot right across half court line for the gram. Don't do that. Because when you're a lawyer and you do that and it doesn't work, you lose the jury. Stay within your confines. You see lawyers do that all the time. They'll ask a series of questions and like they're killing it. They're like, okay, what other question can I ask? What can I do? Hey, put that glove on. Yeah, put that glove on. Doesn't fit. Hey man, did you lie about everything else?
Yeah. But it's a sink or swim moment. Like,
but you didn't have to do it.
You could have. You was up. You was up.
The greatest line my wife has ever told me, baby, be quiet. You're gonna have a good night. Don't say something that's gonna mess it up. Just shut up.
That is facts. Yeah, right. It's game 6. I mean, guys, you don't just go shooting half-court shots for no reason. All right, so the Cochran Law Firm is started up, and again, we're gonna go more into your actual business, but we do want to talk to you about certain cases that are open now that we would love to have our audience get a take from a lawyer standpoint of the situation. The first thing we want to address is the YSL case with Young Thug and it being a RICO. I'm just curious, and again, I don't know the details of the case, and again, we're going to say surface level for the most part. For them to be indicted at all, and for rap lyrics to be brought against Young Thug and the rappers that's part of that. What are your thoughts on that as far as rap lyrics being used to hold you to a certain standard, and when it comes to being involved in the illegalities where rap lyrics, which is supposed to be freedom of speech?
Two parts to that. Man, don't be going out there giving details that only you and the police know in your rap song.
6 a.m. on First Street.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I walked out of the house. I left 6 bloody steps. You know what I'm saying? You know, and the,
On my Nike Air Force
Yeah,
Ones.
yeah.
Okay, we found the shoe.
and the police is like, yeah, say that's 6. And they listening to the rap song trying to figure out what else you done, right? Like, and I threw the gun, water. Okay.
water.
Yeah, what's the first body of water? Oh,
We found
send
the
the stupid
gun.
up. We found the gun. Yo, man, come on, man. What are you
Go
doing?
through the whole album. Go through the whole
What
album.
are you doing? Now, if they're using it to say you have the propensity to do this, then why don't you lock up Al Pacino? He killed a lot of people at the end of that movie.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? And if he can shoot a gun with blanks in it like that, he might shoot a real gun like that. You know what I'm saying? Should we go and arrest him? Should you, arrest every country artist? Because they done hit somebody, fought somebody, kicked the dog. You know, they done something. Why don't?
I was gonna say that's exactly what I, reference it as. Like in divorce court, you're gonna pull up a rapper, him being, having infidelity with his wife. You're gonna pull up his lyrics of, being with all women in the world. You're gonna pull that up and play that in court, and that's gonna work against you. Like,
Right.
it opens up Pandora's box.
Right. You know, did Lil Wayne really mean that he was assaulting a female police officer when he had her in the back of the car? I mean, yeah, exactly. Come on, man. But at the same time, we as a community have to understand not only do we design and move fashion, language, ideals, and sports and all of that, but we also move the needle in things that also harm us. And we have to be very cautious about how we make those steps. And if we make those steps, then we need to take steps in order to protect that so that it's not used against us.
There you go.
How do you feel about like when certain entities come into play and target a certain demographic? Like and let it be known, we're targeting these groups. So y'all better be on your best. If you don't move and act like this, then we're gonna find or try our hardest to put you in jail. We're gonna bend the law, use the law, whatever means necessary, whether RICOs or your baby mama shot whoever and you knew about it and you didn't help with the case. Why do you think though they use the power just to like destroy like a certain community or a certain number of type of people?
Tulsa Massacre. Do I have to say any more?
Nah,
yeah. At the same time, who empowered them to do that?
For sure.
Us. You talk about, I don't want to vote. I don't care about voting. No, Doc. I'm not even talking about voting because the ancestors did what they did in order for us to be able to vote. Right now, if every minority in major cities voted, we have a brand new governor. We have a brand new lieutenant governor. If each one of them, everyone 18 and older who had the ability to vote, went and voted, you literally could get to see what you want to see. Look what happened. We elected District Attorney Cruzo, first DA in Texas that decriminalized personal use of marijuana. First, said we're no longer you can arrest them, but we're not charging these individuals for having, one or two joints or blunts or whatever you want to call it. We're not doing that. Now you come in with a pound, we got a problem. But your personal use, man, miss us with that. You're clogging up our jail system. And something else a lot of people don't know. Most prosecutors couldn't get a conviction on marijuana. When I was a prosecutor, I was one of the few that did get it, but most prosecutors couldn't.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because the people spoke as a jury, but they didn't speak at the voting box. The people in the jury were like, man, why are you wasting my time with this? I smoke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He talking to the smokers.
You know, my cousin smoked, my uncle smoked, my dad smoked. They ain't DWI, this person didn't have a DWI. Police officer walked up to him while he was standing in front of his apartment smoking a joint because maybe his wife or his mom don't let him smoke inside. And you walked up on him. He wasn't bothering nobody.
Can I ask real quick? When it comes to getting, you get to choose a trial and like, hey, I'm not guilty. Just real quick, can you let us know, is it better? Probably, especially if, let's not say if you're guilty or innocent, but is it better to get a trial by jury or trial by judge? Like,
Man, I'm gonna have to tell you, man, that's not a real question, brother.
oh God.
And the reason why it's not a real question because you don't know who you have until you have them. So you have some judges in some counties that will give you 9 months in jail for the possession of marijuana. You know, if you're in one of the rural counties or you're out in like Rockwall or somewhere like that. Meanwhile, you go to some places like y'all trying to make me a Pence.
You're right.
I have to copyright that later.
Please.
But you know, just depending on where you are. Same thing with jurors, right? It just depends. So the secret is, if you think you might do something, live in Dallas County.
That's real. That's real.
Not because Dallas County lets you get away with stuff, but because you at least truly have a jury of your peers. Yes. And they look at every piece of evidence. We have some of the best jurors in the country because they hold everyone accountable, whether it's a civil case or whether it's a criminal case. They're going to make the DA prove his case, where in some counties, they don't even prove their case.
You done already.
Yeah, he did it. We think he did it too.
When is it not okay to take that plea deal?
When you as an individual say it's not, man, ain't nobody can tell you to do nothing.
Right.
Right? And you know, I'll give you a perfect example. This case hurt me to my soul. It's one of the few cases. I had 2 cases that cut me to my soul. Guy was an Army veteran, served his country well, had been blown up 3 times. The last time he was blown up, he was a commander of a group of men. His men died. He had PTSD like nobody's business. And he was drinking. He got on a country road. He did 90 miles per hour and he hit a car, killed a guy. And this guy had been through there's some other details about what happened, but the ironic thing was the guy that he killed, even though all life is precious, this dude served less time for murder than my guy got for manslaughter. And the guy that he killed would have survived had he been wearing his seatbelt. And I wanted to fight the case because I felt that he had a compelling story that I could have at least got a jury to give him probation. He wouldn't let me do it. He was so remorseful that he took the time, and watching him walk behind them doors broke me. Broke me.
You know, the reason I asked that because a lot of people take plea deals even when they could be innocent because they feel like they have no option, and if they get in that courtroom, it could cost them their life, their freedom. So they rather I'll just take this L and do the little bit, and come out on the other side of it instead of risking my life.
Doc, if you're looking at 25 to life and they're offering you 5 or 10 in the reduction, I can't tell you to take that deal, right? I don't know who those 12 people going to be in that jury box. I can give you my assessment of the case. And, you know, one of the things I never do, and some of you guys have heard me say this, I don't make promises and guarantees. Any attorney that will make you a promise or a guarantee is a snake oil salesman. Snake oil salesman, right? That's like somebody walking outside guaranteeing you that it's going to rain. Is it possible to rain? Yeah, it's very possible to rain. But is it absolutely going to rain? I don't think you can really tell me that, because the weatherman has been wrong 4 out of 10 times every morning. So I just take caution in it. I can tell you my legal opinion of a case, and we can go from there. I can tell you what I think might be the outcome, but I'll give you a range. But guarantees, nah, bro.
Should you ever stay with your court-appointed lawyer?
Depends. I was once court appointed.
So did you ever have looking at a person, do they have your best interest when you see a person? Like, how does that work? Do you get paid for, then how does that?
As a court appointed attorney, you get paid by the state in order to represent this person.
Right.
And so, you know, I tell people all the time, lawyers are not equal the same way NBA players aren't equal. Everybody ain't LeBron James. Some people have been on the bench since they've been drafted, right? Let me just say this. Lawyers are like NBA players. Everybody made it to the league, but everybody ain't gonna be a Hall of Famer. Everybody ain't gonna play. And some people ain't gonna make it past their first year. So you just gotta look, you gotta look at your attorney, and you gotta assess them based on what they're telling you, right? And use your spirit of discernment to see if they really are telling you and they have your best interests at heart.
How do you feel about lawyers like a court-appointed defense lawyer when they come in and they're like, yeah, my client, he pretty much is guilty. Whatever you got for him, I'm going to try to talk him into taking it.
The hell with him.
There you go. So let's go and talk about it then. On the YSL case, YSL Woody, which of course came out, and immediately when they asked him, how old are you? Grown. I knew we was in for a show. Days on the stand. I don't know how frustrating that is for an attorney, prosecutor, to go through that type of cross-examination. But for your thoughts, for what you've seen, I don't know if you stayed tuned in, but your thoughts on YSL's Woody and the way he handled himself when it comes to saying, yes, I might have told y'all something a couple of years ago, but time of trial, my memory's a little foggy. What are your thoughts on his performance?
Woody is either one of the best actors since Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington.
Philadelphia.
Brother, Dude, that dude, man, that dude was a lawyer's nightmare. And the fact that they rode that train all the way to the end is amazing. Because, I mean, who remembers any other witness?
I don't.
If you don't remember any other witness, neither do the jury.
Right. So this circus has become for real.
And the jury has gotten to the end of the case and they're trying to decipher what Woody said. They're not looking at the detectives. Yes, we found 6 bullets, all the same caliber as the guns found in the house or in the car. But none of that. They're trying to figure out, how old is Woody?
Grown.
And hold up, how old is grown? Can we get a vote on how old is grown? And
that's a good answer though.
And what real level of education does he really have? Right? And he turned the simplest things around on them and they allowed him to. So Woody, if you see this, hey man, reach out and I'm going to get you at some legal conference to speak and talk about. Reach out, man.
Reach out, Woody. Yeah. Let me ask you, what was a highlighting moment for you in regards to Woody on the testifying? Hold on,
let me get into character and see if I can do my best Woody impersonation. All of them.
All of them. Yeah, he said all of them. Hey, I tell you, man, I knew it was wild when it was a black prosecutor as well who walked up, and I guess, I don't know, it was a smell coming off of her to where he was like, and she, like, as she walked up, the way he reacted to the smell, she walked away. I said, what the hell is going on in this courtroom? And as he walked back, he did it again. He didn't even say nothing. And she walked away again. I said, is the judge supposed to step in and say, hey, sir, you cannot react to smells in the courtroom?
Woody did things that no one human has ever done in a courtroom. No one has captivated. Like, you've had witnesses that have been extremely interesting. Like, you leaned in because they had so much detail on a case and they knew so much that was going on and they were charismatic and things of that nature. This dude was a jack in the box that every time he popped out was something different. Dun, 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 dragon, dun, 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 lion, dun, 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 zebra. You didn't know what was coming out of that box, right? And me as a lawyer, I would have found 1 or 2 points that I could get him to agree to or not agree to. Take those. I'm done. I had a trial in federal court. They brought 30 boxes. 30 boxes of evidence.
Damn.
I looked at him and said, hey man, out of these 5 counts, which count are those boxes related to? They said count 5. I said, okay. Judge says, we're about to begin. Does anyone? I said, Judge, excuse me. As some housekeeping matters, as to count 5, we agree to it. We won't be arguing against it. Judge looked at me. It's like, wait a minute, we ain't even started and you already just laying down on stuff. Judge says, Judge, look at the boxes. He said, counselor, them boxes, what count do they go to? 5. Judge said, all of them? He said, yeah. Judge looked at me with a grin. I was like, hey man, get them boxes out my courtroom.
I swear.
And he said, well, we were supposed to be in here 5 days, but because of Mr. Taylor's move, we might be out of here in 3. Like, you're not finna beat up me on this 1 point, right? If I agree to it, the only thing the jury sees is that 1 sentence. Yeah. You put 30 boxes on them, the 4 other issues are guaranteed.
Right. Oh man. So speaking of the judge, Judge Glanville, he was what's the word, recused?
Recused.
Which for a trial of this magnitude, to where, and shout out DA Fannie Willis in Atlanta to even bring this trial to see what it is. Well, I don't want to shout out her. I'm sorry. I just shout out. I shout out everybody. It seems everybody get a shout out.
I didn't say that.
You're right. Yeah. That was not Larry. That was not Larry. That was an unnamed person behind the mic. Oh.
No, that was fast. That said it. Not Larry. These are not his thoughts. He does not consent to this message.
Speaking of the judge, to see him be recused, it was for bringing, I believe it was YSL Woody into his chambers with the prosecution and the defense attorney not there, to where they, tell us, how does that work when a judge in this level gets recused after this many days of trial? Like, is that the judge choosing to leave? Is it the state? Is it a prosecution? How does that work?
So usually what happens when a judge is removed or released from a case, one of the attorneys finds that there's undue prejudice from the judge or some issue or against one side or the other. And it rises to such that the judge cannot be unbiased as to the case or has done something that has tainted the case. And so at that point, one of the attorneys will file something with the Court of Appeals. And at that point, a ruling is made, and that judge is then been recused or removed from the case at that point. And so attorneys do those types of things all the time, even on some minor cases. You find that a judge has required on a criminal case a defendant to do something that normally isn't done or required to be done, or has limited the ability of a defense attorney or a prosecutor from doing their job. And then at that point, the Court of Appeals finds enough evidence to actually remove that judge.
So can you explain the ex parte portion of that? Because as you see, Young Thug's lawyer, of course, vouching for Thug, stated that he wasn't present. The judge asked them to, of course, provide the evidence. Provide how he knew that he had a conversation with Woody in regards to his chambers, and how did he get that information? And he chose not to give it out. He says based on just he called for a mistrial just based on the fact that it happened. How does that work, ex parte? And then is he supposed to give up the information when the judge asks? Because the judge threatened to put him in jail for X amount of days in regards.
So some lawyers, maybe me, keep an attorney bond in their briefcase just in case they piss a judge off.
Got to.
Like, hey, judge, here you go. Let's sign off on this and let's keep your handcuffs, Smith. Put them down. I'm not going back there. I'm finna get out of here. But anyway, ex parte is usually when one party has communication with the judge without the other parties knowing. And it can be looked upon as conspiring between the judge and that party against the other party. And so there are things that are said that me as an attorney, I'm entitled to hear firsthand. Excuse me. You can't talk about the case without me being present. And so that's a problem. And if things were said in such a way that I needed to object, right? Because sometimes you go in the back room and all the parties are back there and something is said or something is done, we might take it out and put it on the record, right? So if the judge made a call or a ruling or something of that nature in the back, I can go back out and it's like, hey, let's put this on the record because I want to object. And if you don't object, you don't preserve your right to appeal. And that's a mistake that a lot of attorneys make, is that they don't object to the right things and set it up to be appealed and get a good ruling on it so that it's appealable.
Should Judge Glanville have had that conversation in open court versus?
No, that's hard to say. That's hard to say because I don't know all the details. But if the judge wanted to admonish a witness as to their participation, you've all seen it. Judge says, answer the question, right? You know, or judge might say, hey, look, you heard before, you know, under the threat of punishment for perjury, blah, 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 you know, answer the question. So there's lots of things that could be done in front, and there's lots of things that could be done behind.
How much power does a judge really have? I'm asking because I've seen, and this is actually another question I had. I watched a judge. A man was being cited for driving without a license.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they were on a video call.
I saw that.
He was driving.
That's
Ridiculous, of
That's
course,
a-
on his part.
That's
Ridiculous.
His face was classic.
Right. But the judge was like, yeah, he put out a warrant for his arrest. Like, you gonna, like, what can a judge really do? Like, uninhibited? Like, how powerful are they? Like, if, like you said, if you piss a judge off, how bad can he make it for you?
So it's funny you should ask that question because it's a situation going on in Florida where 2 Black lawyers are potentially being suspended because they spoke against the bias of a judge during a trial that had already settled. And so there's also biases against lawyers or potential against lawyers of color as well. So that's an issue. But judges, if you are within, I like to call them kingdoms.
Right.
If you're within their kingdom, you fall within their rule and control.
Gotcha.
And so if that guy had a case in his court, he can issue a warrant out. If you're an attorney and you do something and you're in that courtroom, he can hold you in contempt.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a case in there and he asks you to do something, he or she can hold you in contempt. And so they have, and it's different levels of authority, right? Like you get to the federal and it becomes a whole nother ball game,
Right.
because those are lifetime appointments. You basically got to get an act of Congress to get fired.
Right. It's. I was just saying that because just another crazy story. My brother, he had his license that got revoked, and he went to go get it reinstated, and he got into it with the teller at the window, and she went and told the judge, and he revoked his license for another 3 months. He said you couldn't get it reinstated. I'll see you in 3 months. And it was it was a wild scenario to just see, like, man, they just can really just move the needle on your life.
Can I do a PSA?
Yeah.
People, do not argue with anyone with a government job in their place of business.
Amen.
If you truly have a problem, feel you've been wronged, leave, give me a call. I hope you recorded it, and then let us fight the battle for you. You cannot win. What's that old saying? Your arm's too short to fight with God.
Yeah.
Man, I ain't saying they God, but don't be in there acting a fool, talking loud, waving your hands, because if they tase you, they're going to say that they were justified. So, man, don't do it. Don't, just stay calm, take a deep breath. Because a lot of times I had a prosecutor who I walked into his court, and we were friends, we were cordial, and we had a case, and this man went off. I said, oh, you're having a bad day. I'm going to reset this case and I'll come back. Because I stayed calm, I came back. Walked in. I said, man, you doing better today? He said, man, I am so sorry. He said, you didn't deserve that. You didn't. And he knew how I operated. And he said, I thank you because you could have got me in trouble and you didn't.
So hold on, real quick. I want to play something for you, and just tell me if the judge is out of line. I'm gonna play something for you. Real quick.
Cray, you cannot return to that residence.
Oh, well, how you just gonna tell me I can't go home?
What?
How you gonna tell me I can't go to my home?
I just did.
Well, I bet I do.
Well, then you're in contempt, young lady, and you've got 30 days. So you're not going to. You're not what? Get back! Get back!
You just said I got
Get back! That's another 30 days. That's 60 days.
So what?
90 days.
So?
120 days.
Okay, and?
180 days.
Oh, get off me. Get your hands off me, man. Come on. What else you got to say?
Oh, nothing. We'll talk in 6 months when you're ready to come back for your case.
I ain't mad. They got something serious. I got money.
That's 200 days. You got anything else to say, Miss Kurtz? That's 300 days.
Okay, I'll stop right there. Got it. So when we talk about a judge's power, to go from 30 days just for talking back to a year gone away from whatever life you thought you was living, when he was about to send her home, all he told her was just don't go back to the residence that's on your address. Don't go there because, whoever's there.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, domestic violence. To go from about to walk free right there to just adding on just for talking back. A year. Like you said, it's a kingdom. Is that...
Back to my PSA.
She asked for that.
People, if she would have left, called me at the Cochran firm. She would have easily been able to have me come in the next day and arrange for me to make an arrangement to get done whatever she needed done. Plain and simple. So, and then I got to give you the other website, tailormadelaw.com. Tailormadelaw.com.
How hard is it to become a judge?
It depends, man. It depends on the county and what the law says. Some jurisdictions based on population, they're appointed by county commissioners. Places like Dallas County, they're voted on by the people. It just really depends on the state and the population size. So, like I said, you're either appointed by county commissioners or you are appointed by some kind of governing body or you're elected.
When you see a judge hand out a sentence for life for 25 years, you think that they should a man have that much power to do something like that?
If the law gives it, yes. If the law gives it, yes. Let me ask you this. If someone hurt, and I'm talking to the men in the room. If someone hurt one of the young women in your family, in any kind of way you imagine, are you basically like give them time or give them to me? Right. And if I can't have them, then you need to send them away. You need them to be able to have that power in order to do what they need to do. We just have to entrust that they will not abuse that power. And if they do choose to abuse that power, you and others have the power to remove them.
So the question is, let's say if you're getting judged by your peers versus one man who overrules, should your peers also give the sentence as well?
In some cases, depending on how you choose to do it. I mean, you have the ability to go to the judge or to the jury for punishment. And the danger, so this is inside baseball. The danger is people don't sit and listen to these cases all day. And so if That circumstance is normally the last 20 cases that have come through my court have been 10 years, right? You get 10 years for this. You give it to a jury and a jury gives that person 25 because they think it's egregious. They want to make the prosecutor happy, but they don't necessarily know what everybody else has been got, everyone else has gotten. And so, you know, it's a tricky situation. I know I've had cases where when I did defense work, prosecutors wanted to give my people just lay down the law. And when I finished with explaining the situation to the jury in the case and in closing, you know, we basically get less than half of what they want. So it just depends.
Do you have any desire to be a judge?
I think I cussed once already, haven't I? I think I'm gonna give myself one cuss word. No, man. My calling is to the streets, in a sense. And even though I think I could do a good job as a judge, I am limited at that point of what I can say and do. And if I decide to do a press conference or be on TV or go to the legislature and say this is dumb as hell, I can't do that as a member of the judiciary. Because once you put on that robe, you have decorum and you have all that other stuff to come with it, right? And if I want to tell somebody I'm knocked the hell out you, I want to be able to say that. And so, you know, no, I don't ever have the desire to be a judge. But what I do is, if you ask me about judges, I will tell you about judges. And I will provide resources and donate to campaigns to good judges and judges that I think are good for the community.
Yeah, I'll give you another 10, 15 years to change it. No. So let me ask you, speaking of, you know, being a people of the streets, you know, we have a situation where like you see a Julio Foolio who was gunned down. And it seems like they're going to, of course, let's say catch an assailant and, you know, have them stand trial if the police do their job. When it comes to the attorney side of things, whether through whether through prosecution or defense, do lawyers, you know, sometimes you know that, you know, especially if they're like court appointed things of that nature, do lawyers shoot at high profile cases as far as to be attached to someone that may have a high profile name to say, hey, let me at least look into that and see if I want to take that on, or my firm to take that on?
I mean, you do, man. I mean, there have been circumstances that you guys have probably been aware of that lawyers had tried to connect themselves or link themselves to high profile individuals for some kind of notoriety or some sort of glamour. That's not my thing. Me being right here, I'm gonna be honest with you, me being right here in front of you right now took me about almost a year of talking with God, because I've been in situations. I've worked for, you know, the speaker. I've been appointed by the governor. I worked for one of the longest standing, most prestigious members of Congress. So I've been next to people, and I consider them to be like the sun. So I've been close enough to the sun to know that I don't necessarily want to be the sun, because you're always seen, right? You're always known. You can't do anything, right? If you have too much to drink, you can't just pull over on the side of the road and go to the bathroom, because everybody drive by know who you are, right? And so I tended to stay away from that. And so if I represent someone who is a high profile client, which I've represented a number of, you've never seen me on TV with someone who is considered a superstar or famous. Now, I'll stand next to someone who everyday people, because I'm trying to get justice for them, but I'm not standing next to them, man, so somebody can link me to that. And, you know, I'm not trying to be the Hollywood star attorney and be out there like that. I like being able to go to the store and the grocery store because I cook, right?
Right.
I like being able to do that and nobody bother me. And so, quite honestly, when I do get stopped because someone knows who or recognizes me for some reason, I'm nice about it, and I'm happy for them, right? And I'm happy for myself that I've done something that touched them in some kind of way, man. But I like being able to just be me.
Nah, I agree. So let me ask you, when it comes to high profile cases, we have a situation in Dallas where we have a rapper by the name of Mo3 who he was slain on the interstate in 2020 of November 2020 during COVID.
I remember.
We're going on 4 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and the trial has not started.
Mm-hmm.
What does that normally mean when you have a murder situation, which technically you could call high profile due to the rapper status? Someone was arrested, I believe, within the calendar year after the death, but we are still waiting almost 3 to 4 years in for a trial to start. What does that normally mean when it's taking this long?
I'll say this about Dallas County once again. We got a great DA, and he's smart, very smart. He is not going to try a case, and I'm not trying to speak for him, just talking about what I've observed. He is not going to try a case without having everything that they need and everyone that they need in the case. That's what happens when you do the rush to justice, right? Like you rush to get assailant number one to send him to trial, and then during the middle of trial, it comes out that there's 2 more assailants. And now that doubt comes in because now you got one person's story, or maybe 2 people, the defendant and another person. But what about them other 2 individuals, right? And that's when you get the water muckied. And so it's better to take your time and do a case right and make sure that you get everyone that you needed to get. Because how many times have you seen on TV that families that thought they got justice, only years later, the person that they thought killed their loved one goes free? And they have to live that twice. So do it right the first time.
So what does it mean when they say you have a right to a speedy trial? Because if I've been sitting in jail 3-4 years, that ain't that goddamn fast.
Man, part of that could be also your defense attorney, right?
Right.
So this is going to be for the streets. So a lot of people rather stay in county and rack up time, as much time as they can before they get shipped off.
For sure.
If I know I'm going to do 20, let me see if I can do 6 of it here in town so my mom and my family can come see me every weekend. You know what I'm saying? And so continuances, you're not ready? Okay, we're not going to push you. Take your time. Do what you need to do. We'll be over here. We're not going nowhere. But speedy trial, if I have a speedy trial actually works best to me when your client's on bond, because number one, that shows that they're not necessarily a threat because they're free. And you're saying, hey, look, let's get to this. The law says that my client is entitled to a speedy trial. It's been 3 years. This case should have happened within 12 months. You either try this case within this next setting if the judge rules in my favor, or it's dismissed. Plain and simple. So let's square up and do what we're gonna do, or you need to walk on and go on home. Did I just say square up?
Yeah, nah, hey, that's a lawyer talk. That lawyer talk.
We knew what square you meant. We know.
That lawyer talk.
My bad.
So in that case, also when it comes to bonds, like why would you see a man get tried for one type of case and get a certain amount, and then another person get that same case and he's bond like $30 million? What do they base that off of?
Some things that we can actually see and understand, and some things that is personal to the person who's making that.
Gotcha.
And so, they try to say that it's a quick standard across the board. But then again, too, man, it goes back to your lawyer. Like we said about the NBA. Maybe you got a bench player.
No, that's facts. That's I'm gonna use that analogy till the day we die. So let me ask you. We have a situation in Dallas Fort Worth, we have a lot of cases, and I'm sure you might have heard of the Tay K trial, the race, where an artist came out. He was arrested for murder.
Mm-hmm.
He bonded out, and then he did what they call the race, where he is on the run. He made a song called The Race, which is now famous for being on the run. And of course, they got him. And now he's serving 50 years for one of the it was like three cases they had on him. But because of that, the race itself, and I want you to speak to, again, our fans are those who might probably like to do the race.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to speak to them as far as what does that entail when you resist arrest, but yet you cut that ankle monitor off, and now you gone, you fleeing, and you're out on bond. What does that mean for your case versus doing what the judge say to do and stay within the parameters of your bond? Can you tell how detrimental is that when it comes to trial?
Extremely. That is potentially going to be brought up. There's some people who are actually charged with another crime because of that, right? And so, and if they decide to try those cases together, because technically it's out of the same transaction, then now a jury might actually hear the fact that, okay, and it just depends on the jurisdiction in the state and so forth. There's a lot of ifs in that. But number one, in the judge's eyes, it's basically a plea of guilty. And if a jury hears it, now they're looking at you like, man, if you ain't do it, why you run?
Should you ever represent yourself? And if so, should you ever represent yourself? Let's start with that.
It depends, man. I think I represented myself once, like a traffic ticket. Yeah, I think.
Were you suited and booted?
Of course. We always come to spank. We always come to spank. But man, that's a tricky question in a sense. I have a friend who had a federal charge, and he did what they call a focus group. Right. A focus group is when you get volunteers to come in off the street, and you do a mix-up of gender, age, race, based on what the jury pool usually looks like. And you put them in and you do a mock trial. Well, he did this mock trial, and with these high-profile attorneys, and every time he came out guilty. And they would ask the jury, and they said, well, he's a lawyer, we wanted to hear from him. So he tried the case himself and got acquitted. He's a good lawyer. And the fact that they got a sense or who he was, I think really moved the jury to be like, man, he didn't do this.
Right.
He didn't do this.
When coming to trial, if you're on trial, should you dress up?
You should dress up every time you hit the courtroom.
Right. And does that make the judge favor you more? Is that a thing?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, look, man, going to court is like going on a first date with a girl you really like. Are you showing up with your muscle shirt with the hole in it because it's or the Michael Jordan jersey from 1986 and some cutoff shorts? You ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing that. So don't do that when you go to court. Because if you want the court to, the court feels like you take them serious, they're going to take you serious.
What colors should you wear and what colors should you stay away from?
Stay away. I will say this, man. Stay away from any colors that may be known gang colors in your community. Because judges know that stuff because they're briefed on stuff like that. And so you want to stay away from those colors. And so you want to wear, wear your nice tan, a nice brown, a nice black, a nice navy blue suit. Navy blue is going to be, really should be your go-to.
And the reason for that, we saw the Tory Lanez case and he wore a pink suit on one of his days of trial. It is like, whatever it was a very obnoxious color. And it's like, what are you saying with this suit on, with this pink suit on?
Brother, I got a suit. I got 3 suits in my office that set Miami on fire every time I wear them.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. That turquoise, aqua.
But I would never walk into a courtroom with those on. I did show up to the courtroom in a size large Tampa Stingray, the hockey team shirt. They left my luggage.
Oh, so you have to just...
They left my luggage. So I walked in the court and bailiff was like, hey man, what are you doing? I said, I'm an attorney. He said, you're not dressed appropriately. I said, can I at least address the court?
Yeah, right.
And he said, I said, Judge, so I flew in on this airline. You know how they are. They lost my bag. You told me I had to be here. I am here. And in goodwill of being here, I donated some tax dollars by buying merchandise to a team I hope you like because I wore it to impress you, but I needed to make sure I got here. She laughed about it. She said, Mr. Taylor, I appreciate your contribution to Tampa. In the future, you have permission to call my clerk if they ever should lose your bag again, and we'll reset the case.
The fact that the bailiff told you to, hey man, you ain't dressed right.
Brother, I can wear this right now, and I got some bailiffs who would ask me, where's my attorney?
Oh, wow. God, okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, when it comes to representing yourself, what are your thoughts on Ronnie O'Neal, who was the famous guy with the, he had the hair sticking up and was like, if you think I'm here to play with y'all, God damn it, I'm not. What are your thoughts on, he got found guilty for double murder. But what are your thoughts on him representing himself and addressing the court as such? Like he ain't here to play.
Look, man. So I know we live in the age of social media, right?
We do.
And we live in the age of notoriety.
We do.
Infamy. And that's your life. That's your life. Right? You know what I'm saying? This ain't junior high stand-up comedy. This ain't any of that. That's your life. Now, be honest with you.
He did a good job, is it?
No, to be honest with you, that case could be appealed.
On what grounds?
That he was not fit to stand trial because he was mentally, how should I say it? Mentally incompetent. So, the right amount of money and the right attorney, he might get out.
There was another case in, I think it was Boston, where a guy drove through a parade, and he represented himself as well. And his case, he acted even more out of. I mean, the judge had to reprimand him multiple times to say, you have to just basically do this virtually, because he was just so out of there. But he got found guilty as well. But do you feel like even that case, because as he represented himself, he was just the theatrics that he did as a lawyer, I guess he must have watched a movie or something. Could he appeal as well, saying, I wasn't in my right mind in my case? And mind you, that case was long, weeks. And he ultimately got found guilty for, after representing himself.
So you guys asked me a lot of criminal questions.
Yeah, we are. We're going down there.
You asked me a lot.
And I know that's not your.
Yeah, you asked me a lot of criminal questions, and I haven't practiced criminal law in such a long time. But I'm flip it on you.
Go ahead.
I'm flipping on you. I saw a trial that I sat on that was civil, and the guy represented himself against a major corporation. It took everything in me to sit in that jury box and be like, ooh, he said he is getting with them. That brother got with them.
This is after you practice law.
No.
Okay, before.
This is like a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Maybe a year ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he represented himself, man. I told him, I walked up to him, I said, look, man, I know you a little seasoned. I don't know if you went to college, but you need to seek a career in the law. I said, because your arguments were on point. They just were not finished.
Oh, man.
And that's why you beat an attorney. I was like, woof. And I knew the attorney too.
Oh.
I was like.
So let me ask you, the mind of a juror. Let's say a trial, we're days, weeks in. From your mindset, even on being in the jury pool, you could be like, he did it or he's innocent. Like based on the argument, can one thing change your mind based on like either witness, whether those who might the defense may call their actual person to come up there and speak? Can one sentence change a juror's mind based on like going through days if not weeks of trial, to where like, okay, bet I was leaning one way because that situation just happened. Now I'm flipped the other way.
I'm not going to use words to answer this.
Just that one moment in time.
If it don't fit, you must acquit.
That one moment in time.
That one thing, that phrase. It's on cartoons, television shows, movies. That one thing.
Change it. Nah, for real, that's right.
What's your number one lawyer movie?
Oh man, that's a good one. Hold on. Everybody likes To Kill a Mockingbird. Everybody likes that.
Mine is A Time to Kill. That was
Kind of, it's basically mirrored off of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I am trying to think of a lawyer show or movie,
Law-abiding citizen.
Nah, my wife used to call me the Lincoln Lawyer, but man, that's a hard one. And I'm trying to think, because there's one in my mind that I think I just can't recall, that really, what's crazy, it really affects me and touches me about lawyers. I I like lawyers. I like Aaron Brockovich, the movie, shows that involve lawyers that fight big corporations behind what they do to small communities really move me, because they're literally going up against some things that are more powerful than the government in a sense, right? The government has rules that they have to follow, that they should follow. And for the most part, they do. But corporations, oh, brother, the corporations are like the 2012 Patriots and the 2018 Astros and every team that has been accused of doing something to get the upper hand, all rolled up in one. The last 100 years of people who cheated in sports represent one corporation, because they will do anything to win. And I like movies with lawyers that go up against that.
Now, there are a lot of corporations that are infamous for always being either sued or in some type of litigation, big pharma. What corporations do you see are the hardest to take down?
All of them. All of them. All of them. You know, we represent a lot of the cases that I do. I represent people of color who have been hurt by either big pharma or some kind of conglomerate, whether it's water contamination, makeup, hair relaxer, weight loss drugs, something of that effect. And the things that they do to put pressure on you and hide the 8 ball, or just try to beat up on your client, right? You lose your mother, your father, because of something that they digested that was basically poison to them that this company put out in the market. And they do everything that they can to blame you, to tell you that you're not telling the truth, to tell you that you haven't provided them with enough information. In some cases, they say you don't even have the right to make a claim on behalf of your loved one. And having to fight and jump through all those hurdles is man, so much more difficult than even doing criminal law.
Now you've taken on some big corporations, Toyota. What was that like? If you can go into it.
You know, we had a situation, man, where we had a husband and wife who just so happened to be really strong in the ministry. And they went to a car lot to purchase a car, just like all of us. And they trusted their sales rep to help them with the finances. And so he went through their cell phone and got pictures that he did not have the right to. He shouldn't even been in his photo gallery. And he ended up sending those photos to himself. And
whoa.
And that case was personal, because, man, these were good people, really good people. I mean, I still talk to them to this day. You know, matter of fact, they owe me a bowl of gumbo. But you know, when people hurt good people and they feel helpless, those are the cases that I like, right? You know, little old lady owns her house. Her grandma owned the house since the 1900s. And someone does something to harm her, and she feels like she doesn't have a voice. That's what I feel like I've been called to do, is to provide communities that feel like they don't have a voice. Minority communities, LGBT communities, communities who feel like they've been left out and no one cares. I think that's what I've been called to do. I've been beating up bullies my entire life. You know, I mean, my friends talk about it all the time. Like, if you was in my neighborhood and you was bullying somebody, you know, because I got bullied at 9. I got bullied at 9. I told him, I said, when I get big enough, I said, I'm gonna get you. When I turned 13, I saw him at the basketball court.
Got
Got with him. Got with him. Shut the whole game down. And as I was sitting on top of him, he said, man, why would I do to you? I said, I told you when I was 9, I was going to get you when I could. And the day is payday.
Man, you sure can hold the grudge.
Yeah.
Now, corporations are one thing. What about when you're going up against the city? Especially one where you have to do business in often. How difficult is that?
You know, sometimes if I rarely represent governmental organizations, but a lot of times if I represent a governmental organization, I'm barred from suing.
Okay.
Right? Because if I represent them, I know their inner workings. And so I have an unfair advantage.
Gotcha.
And so I'm unable to represent people in those areas. But what I will tell you about the government and how important voting is. All of you guys are familiar with police brutality cases, right?
Mhm.
In 1983 cases, which are a code in the federal code that allows people to sue the government or government officials for causing a harm. I'm just keeping it simple, right? Well, they have that immunity. What a lot of people know is that immunity goes past just law enforcement. The 2 young women who died at Texas Commerce that were murdered, they used the same law that they used to protect those police officers to prevent us from even getting a list of who worked at that time or any information about that university. My client, a Black man in Houston, Texas, who was married to a non-Black woman, was assaulted by a doctor from behind. His wife was hysterical. She was she was upset. I shouldn't say hysterical. She was upset and crying because she had just been in a car wreck and she was frazzled. He had his hand on her cheek, trying to calm her down. A doctor came up who was trained in MMA, put him in a chokehold. The police had to ask 100 times nicely. They didn't use force on the doctor to get him off my client. The courts came back and said that we didn't have the right to sue this doctor because he was an official government employee. That's why voting is important. Because with the right people in office, we can undo those laws that prevent things like that and prevent people from being able to go free from causing that type of harm. Doctors could basically assault you or grab your wife or grab your girlfriend or grab you or grab anyone, and it's considered to be medical malpractice in the state of Texas and are protected.
Settlements. If you're at liberty to discuss, what is your biggest amount that you settled?
Never talk about that.
Okay. I had to ask.
I know. I never talk about that.
When you have a client that seems like they're more involved in how much.
Can I say this, man?
Yes, sir.
Just go back to that. Ask me the percentage of cases that I might have that my clients felt like they got justice. That's because to me, man, I can sit up there and tell you, I got $100,000 for the person that killed his mom, and he said that's not enough. I'll say I got $1 million for the person who killed his mom. He would say that's not enough. But for somebody out in the audience who hears a number, they're like, wow, great job.
Man,
No,
put it
man.
in perspective.
No, man, I need you. I tell all my people, I'm trying to make you whole.
Right.
I lost the case. One of the few cases I lost. And, oh, hell, yeah, very few. But anyway, I lost the case. And I was like depressed, like sad. My client was happy. He's like, man, what's wrong with you? I said, man, bro, I didn't come through for you. He said, what you talking about? He said, man, you had them folks up there sweating. You made that man cry. You made everyone that made me feel that way when you had them on the stand. I ain't get $1 in my pocket, but I saw those individuals that hurt me hurt. And so, thank you. Man, changed my perspective, brother.
And and that you're absolutely correct, because when you really think about it, it's like all the person. If I ever, you just want the person to wrong you to know how wrong that, how you feel about that, and you never really see that a person get that. Yeah, the money is cool, but like you said, I lost my mama. Like, you can give me $1 million, but that's not gonna give me my mama back. So the other person on the other end of the video might be like, yeah, $1 million. Would you trade your mama for $1 million?
So I have when I do sometimes I had a sexual assault case, and this guy had bullied this woman, man, and just really did a number on her. And so she was shell shocked. Like, she wouldn't talk to the police. This woman darn near wouldn't leave out the house unless I showed up out front of her door, and she ran and jumped in her car. It was bad. And so to make her feel better, I said, look, do you trust me? She said, yeah. I said, now, I might go to jail, so I might need you to bail me out. I'm not gonna say exactly what I did, but I made a settlement offer, proposal, in front of the assailant and his attorney to him that almost made him pee on himself. She laughed her head off. She said, I feel so good. Even though the case wasn't over, she said, because now I know he knows how I feel.
Right.
So let me ask you about Miranda rights. The right to remain silent. And again, this goes back to the criminal side of things.
Y'all keep pulling me back. I feel like
I
feel like Carlito.
Listen, we got to, yeah, for real. Carlito's way, got it.
Every time I get that, they pull me back.
Man, we got a lot of people who just don't know their law, their rights. For someone who does get into some type of trouble, whether they're innocent or guilty, and they get read those Miranda rights, you have the right to remain silent. All everything that goes with it. A lot of them do speak. Now, my question to you is this: how many of them should, especially whether you're innocent or guilty, should just stay quiet and get a lawyer?
So, when I prosecute law enforcement, just to let you know, I do prosecute law enforcement in civil suits. You know what they tell me? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying nothing. Talk to my lawyer. So take a page from your police officer.
Straight to it.
I ain't do anything wrong. I want my lawyer, and in protest, I'm finna lay my head down until you get me my lawyer or until you arraign me and give me a bond. I'm done talking.
What if you're innocent? Like, you for sure legit innocent of the crime that they're saying you were part of, and you want to explain your side. I'm gonna stare right at you, and I ain't saying squat. So I like your position. What is it that says about body language? Because sometimes even with saying I want my lawyer, I'm assuming they could play that back in court. Like, here's a video of this person asking for their lawyer, and here's what they did 10 minutes after when they start pacing the room, punching the wall.
In protest, sit down, put your head down, and take a nap.
What if they offer you Burger King?
That grape soda comes along.
That Whataburger.
You know what? Actually, man, that is a potential violation of your civil rights.
Oh, damn. With the grape soda part?
Well, you think about it, right? If you held me in a room to a point where you feel you need to feed me or give me something to drink, have you kept me there too long?
I see. Yeah, you. Oh, yeah, you a good lawyer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nah, for real. That's the first question.
Have I been?
Like,
I mean, you picked me at 12. I just had lunch. I've been here so long, I'm hungry again.
yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. First of all. Yeah. No, for real. First of all. Yeah.
Hey man, send me the gym pop before they serve dinner. Let me get my green bologna sandwich.
Right.
And my expired milk. And you can come back and get me out there and eat.
And those are the questions, and I'm glad you're here, Larry, because
One last thing.
go ahead, please.
By federal law, they can only keep you on the airplane 2 to 3 hours before they have to let you off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Like if the airplane is on the tarmac, I can't remember exactly what the time period is, but I know it's between 2 and 3 hours. That's why they let people off the plane, but sometimes before they even pull the plane back, because they know you'll be sitting on there too long. But I think it's 2 to 3 hours. After that, you have a civil action. So can you really keep me in a holding tank for 10, 12 hours?
Come on now. That's why I'm glad you're here, because what we don't know, like our people, what we don't know is those civil laws against us. You spoke on Toyota as far as those pictures of a couple that went out. Most people who are ignorant to the law are put in situations to where there are cases that they could probably be brought about, whether civil or some type of lawsuit, but they just don't know better, ignorance, whatever you want to call it. Should people who have, who even a slight question if this is legal, should they contact the lawyer for some type of consultation just to say what happened? Or should they just take it on the chin?
Man, that's one of the things that I'm doing with my website, my personal website. I'm taking it upon myself, separate and apart of my law firm, to educate my community and provide a resource. There's resources like Her Health Talk, where there's a platform for women of color to go and talk about some of the health issues that they're having and that may be related to some of the products that they have been using. Create forms such as that. Be able to go to my website and basically fill out a form. Do I have a case? A lot of times cases happen because one person said something, right?
That's real.
Like you come up to me and say, hey man, I had cell service in South Dallas with this cell phone company. They pissed me off because my rate was too high. I canceled it, got with another company, moved to North Dallas, and decided to go back to my old company, the same plan, but the rate was cheaper. Is that a case or is something into that? And now a lawyer like myself says, let me take a look. Let me send information out and see, okay, how much are you paying for your rate plan? Okay, how much are you paying for your rate plan? If I see a discrepancy based on geographics that lend to race, I got a class action. You're going to give each one of these people the extra $50 plus another $50 that they spent on that plan for that year. And you're going to change their rate to match all the other places. I just use that as an example, but that's what class action lawsuits are.
So iPhones do not provide chargers or nothing. They started out, they get you a charger and an earpiece. Now you barely get the phone.
Not actionable.
Huh?
Not actionable.
Okay.
No, because at that point, it's like buying a car as is, brother.
Got you.
You take it as you got it.
Okay.
So I live in the ghetto, and I'm ordering this food, and it said, "Man,
Them Jordans don't say that, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. Let's just say, it says, you know, I'm gonna get my food in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. And you know, they come 45 minutes in and they still trying to charge me. Do I have a? Can I go at the mom and pop shop and say I'm gonna shut y'all shit down?
You have kind of a case, but then what comes as a defense to that is geographical locations and violence. So watch this. Premise liability cases. So you live in a neighborhood, you live in an apartment complex, the gate doesn't close all the way, it's always broke, and you get shot. That's a premise liability case because you have insufficient security. And if there is been fights or constant criminal activity, and I can show that it was a hotbed for criminal activity in the place, whether it's an apartment complex, a mall, they didn't take the appropriate steps to ensure that their visitors and guests were protected on their property, that opens up the doors for potential litigation. So you can go to tailormadelaw.com and put your question in.
I got one more. My wife walks into Panda Express and she asks for a water and they give her a large water cup. Then I go back in and I walk in there and I ask for a water cup and they say $1.99.
Documented.
No, man, that might have more to do with your appearance than anything else. She might have been just pretty. And so she walks in and they just said, you know, hey, pretty lady, here you go. You walk in, it might have been a dude. Yeah. And it was my man Earthquake. Yeah. My man Earthquake say, I do not have dude tickets.
Wait, discrimination though.
Nah, bro.
Is it rich?
Like Dawson, boy, you reached way up in there, boy.
Brother, you would have to, first of all, gender discrimination against a man in that regard, bruh. Get off my phone.
But no, it's a woman.
No, what I'm saying is if a woman goes in and gets a cup and then she gets hers free and then a guy walks in and they want to charge him $1,
you paid the price of admission.
Brother, if you have 4 women on that jury,
right.
But you
real quick, you have mentioned movies. Did you ever get a chance to watch like Better Call Saul, Your Honor, some of the shows that lean towards a good judicial show? I'm watching Presumed Innocent right now with Jake Gyllenhaal. Very good show. Very good show. I recommend it to you. But is there any shows that you like? This is a good Power. Power had a lot going on the attorney side of things. Anything like you get interested in as far as on the attorney side, as far as the show, outside of movies?
Can man, just to be honest with you guys,
you don't watch TV?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. I work a lot, and I don't like shows because I feel like nowadays writers and companies don't finish. They'll start a season or they'll start something and then one of the actors will do something negative and they can't cast them or recast them, so they cancel it. And now you're left hanging, unfinished.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
It happens a lot.
Second thing is, when you grow up in a community or you've done things, right? Like with 50 Cent in Power. I don't necessarily want to watch that, man, and reflect and remember a time in my life where something like that happened. I mean, I saw my first kid murder when I was a young kid. Yeah. I don't necessarily want to see that and be reminded of that point of my life. So usually the shows that I watch, man, are usually those that have nothing to do with my personal life. Because I don't want to relive those things. right? And most people don't know this, but lawyers are like the second leading profession for suicides.
Whoa. Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Right? Because we're like surgeons, right? We're like trauma surgeons. You know, people come in and they're banged up, they're hurt, they're in their worst possible position in their life. Our job is to suit them up and hopefully get them to walk away from this situation. And when you can't necessarily do that because the law isn't on your side, but you know it should be, or a bad set of facts or a bad turn on an incident, that takes a toll on you.
That's fact.
If you're worth your weight in salt, if you're a good attorney, man, you care. You care.
Can I ask you about injury law? Have you practice injury law? For those that might have gotten in a car accident, we hear a lot of, I just got hit, and all these, they call on us to, if you just got bumped by your 18-wheeler, call the number,
Call LT for me.
Call LT. Yeah, no, facts. Tell everybody.
866 LT 4 FOR me.
There you go. 866 LT for me. That's the Real Life Street Stars is condoning. That's the only number you call. With that being said, what are some of things that people should look out for if they were ever in an auto accident? A lot of people don't have the tools or know what to do next. Once they reach out to you, what services do you provide? What can they expect? Should they go to an emergency room immediately? Should they wait for you to tell them to go? Should they not talk to an insurance company before they talk with you first? How should they handle the moment they're in an accident?
The moment you get into an accident, man, first of all, check and make sure you're okay. Make sure your car is okay. Make sure that it's not potentially going to catch fire, that there's no gas leaks, that there's nothing that could harm you. As soon as you do that, pull your phone out, start recording everything. Your conversations, the positions of the cars, because a lot of times, unfortunately, and I'll say it, right? People of color, if you get into an accident with someone who doesn't look like you and you move your cars, chances are that police report is going to read basically no fault, nobody's at fault, it's just an accident, or you're at fault.
Wow.
And so start recording. And if you're in a dangerous situation on a highway, get out your car, get as far away from your car, get to a safe space and position. Don't let someone talk to you and say, no, you need to talk to me right here. Hey man, you want to talk to me over here. Even when I get pulled over for a traffic ticket, I put on my emergency lights, I drive 10 miles per hour, and I exit. Why? Because I have done cases in which tractor trailers have swerved off of the road and hit cars on the feeder.
Right.
And and so on the service road or on the side. Make sure you say. Second thing you do.
Well, if that exit is a little far, it could looked at as evading.
No, in the state of Texas, you have a right to pull over to a safe location.
Okay.
And so, I am personally, no one is evading at 10 to 15 miles per hour.
Slow down.
Slow down. Been following you for 10 minutes now.
Now, watch this, and I'll throw them on blast. It happened in Arlington. I was with my son, headed to a track practice, and was getting a ticket, hit my emergency lights, drove slow, exited. He literally got out the car and said, why were you evading? I literally said, you are not finna sit up here and articulate articulate the elements of evading and try to get me arrested. I have a legal right to pull over while I was safe. I was not driving more than 10 miles per hour. I had my emergency lights on. At no point did I try to evade or lose you. I'm looking out for both your safety and mine. I got my kid in the car and I want to go home. So if you want to write me a ticket from the middle of the freeway while I'm up here, you can, but don't do that.
And you said secondly,
Secondly, man, once you have, first get the license plate, get the insurance, get the driver's license, because so many times people get off and they get bad insurance and bad insurance cards, and they didn't get the license plate, and so now they don't know who to get or what to do. They didn't get a driver's license, so they don't have any way to contact this person. So someone hit me about a year ago, and it was a hit and run. I got their license plate, found out where they live. I sued them. They didn't show up. I got a judgment. At 5 p.m. on Black Friday, I'm sending the sheriff to their house to go get their stuff.
that's how it works.
I was wondering, how does it work when you sue somebody and they ain't got no money?
You get a judgment, and then there's several different ways you can exercise that judgment. A lot of times you can sell it to companies that buy debt.
Wow. Who knew that? Hold on, what is it?
Oh, 866 LT for me.
Man, yeah, I got hit by a drunk driver, and he's still out there. I went and got the papers. I know exactly who it was, so I can still do this, right? Or
How long ago was this?
how long ago? Probably like 2 years ago. It's over.
See, man, procrastination,
I didn't even know.
and I'll do it tomorrow. And that's why, especially lawyers of color, right? We got to do a better job at making sure that we protect our community. We can't help everyone. Like, I can't take on Atlanta, Minnesota, Dallas, Houston. I can't take care of all my kinfolk and cousins in that community, right? My Latino brothers, my Asian brothers, my black brother. I can't take care of everybody, but I can do my part. And we all need to be able to do our part to make sure that we protect our community, because if we did a better job at that, people probably stop messing with us.
Amen. I want to talk about some of your community work, but I just have to know, because you brought it up. Because I know when you take off the nice suit and maybe you don't wear your glasses, you look like me, and you have to deal with law enforcement just like we do. Like, how much, and I'm not saying this to badmouth police because there are good police, but how many police officers, how much prejudice are we really still facing in 2024?
Man.
Or stereotype. I won't even say prejudice, stereotype.
So I have a nonprofit called Police the Truth. And what we do is we represent good police officers.
Amen.
Police officers that are whistleblowers. And so me and a couple of attorneys across the country, we do those cases, in some cases pro bono or contingency for those police officers, because we want to protect good police officers. There are plenty of good police officers out there. The thing that I always tell people, and I'm going to do a podcast with a young woman, and she changed my life. She said, "Baby, you are too big and too black not to smile." She said, "Smile, because you're going to scare the hell out these white people." And since she told me that, I don't grin, I don't shuffle and grin, but you come up to my car, I have my insurance ready, I have my driver's license. I said, "How are you doing, officer? Hope you're having a good day. Here's my driver's license. Do you need anything else?" And I mean, in some of the most rural towns, they be like, "You ain't got no attitude?" Like, they don't say it, but it's on their face. And they're like, all right. And they don't even know I'm a lawyer. They're like, "Hey, Mr. Taylor, you're going a little bit over the speed limit. I'm pretty sure you're trying to get home to your wife or your kids or something like that, but just slow down through our town,
and have a good day, sir. No warning, no write out a warning, nothing. Just give me my driver's license and go on about my business.
I was just saying because I remember a time the officer came up to my car door, and I was 10 and 2. I was like, I'm reaching for my my insurance. He said, bro, we don't got to do this, bro. You was just speeding. Cause I'm everything I'm saying I'm doing. I'm announcing it out.
But you know, we shouldn't have to, and you'll get some of us to say that we shouldn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my other PSA. As a father, whether you're a man or a woman, boy or girl, come home. Because I can sue for you being mistreated, but I can't bring you back. Just come home. Do what you need to do to come home. We can fix everything else.
You know, I learned dealing with law enforcement, it's a psychological game. They're humans too. On a day shift, like, you know, you are too. You got to play into that. So Larry, let's go and get into it. Lastly, as far as we have to get your take. Puff that. Diddy. Let's just start with coming out of nowhere. Diddy has a lawsuit. Cassie hits him with a 30-page indictment in regards to wanting to be, she wasn't going after criminal charges, but just she wanted to be compensated for pain and suffering and everything else that she asked for. Your thoughts when you seen that indictment, 30 pages, and the settlement within 24 hours of the when they first presented the lawsuit. You as a lawyer, what were your thoughts right when you seen that take place? Because again, it caught the world by storm.
So I was with a group of brothers on a guys trip, and the first thing they asked me about that. First thing I said to them is either his lawyers committed malpractice or they did not convince him well enough. So let's say I'm his lawyer. Cassie's lawyer sends me this lawsuit. I read through this. I get to page 6. I said, hey man, get your checkbook ready. I don't know what the number is yet. We're not gonna pay this, but we finna pay something. He sits at me and he said, man, we ain't paying nothing. I said, bruh, the accusations that she's made in this document, if they find a hint of truth, or once it goes public, the feds monitor everything. And you're a public figure. The general population is going to read this. The news are going to report on it. The feds are going to take interest in it. And they're going to find a location where she said you were, that something happened, and it was sex trafficking or some kind of allegation of sexual assault. And if they find one woman to corroborate what was said, bro, 30 million is the least of your problems. Try you and R. Kelly making the greatest album ever in prison, right? Like, you two are going to make music that's going to extend to anybody that would buy it, that will be like, it's going to be off the chain too. But the problem was, at that moment, he should have shut that down. On all my high profile clients, in dealing with situations like that, whether they're high net worth or whatever, if we have a situation, I play the angles. I play the angles like pool. I am not finna try to hit the 8 ball just because the 7 ball and I got solids is in front of it thinking I can make it. I'm finna hit something else. He should have left that alone and paid her and then made her. Now, the one issue I do have, I do kind of have some issue with Cassie's attorney, because, man, he doing too much. Every time somebody says something, he is on top of that, And no, man, but you represented your client. Your case is over with. It is no need for him to make, Puff Daddy had orange juice. He shouldn't have no orange juice. He should be drinking, he drinking minute. No, man, sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. He doing too much.
Maybe it was very personal for him.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it's personal, man. But the criminal justice system still has to play itself out.
As a defense attorney, what angle could you have seen from Puffy's side?
Pay this girl. I'm sorry.
That's it.
Pay this woman.
Yeah.
Pay this woman. And move on. Take the L.
I thought that's what he did, though, didn't he?
No.
Never seen the light of day.
No. It's a big difference.
Okay.
What he just said, that petition should have never seen the light of day.
How did it see the light of day?
He didn't. He refused to pay.
Oh, okay. This all could have been avoided. I did not know that.
Public record.
Oh wow.
Public record. So no, he did do it to himself. Arrogance possibly. Well, who knows what it was?
We don't.
Yeah, we don't know what it was.
That's the $1 million question: is what conversation took place and what advice did he get prior to that lawsuit being filed? And sometimes you have clients who are just hell bent on being, be honest with you, if I had a client like that, I would fire the client.
Like a billionaire though. Like
I would fire
a billionaire.
I would fire
I'm not
you.
about to be strong on.
I would fire you. I would fire you because I would tell you, if you can't listen to my instructions on what you paid me to do, then you paid me to advise you to this point. You need to find new counsel. Because I am not finna be caught up in this. Now my reputation is being questioned. Because now as a lawyer, I'm asking myself, hey man, did you advise your client? And you should have bought him more time so you can work on him to pay some money.
Correct.
Right? But was it you or was it him? Or was it the two of you guys together that basically pissed this woman off and her attorney that made them file this lawsuit? It's too many questions.
And sometimes you don't get a truthful client to kind of know what tools you're working with in the shed.
Bro.
Yeah.
Did you read?
Like you said, page 6.
I didn't have to read the rest.
Yeah, page 6.
Oh my God.
Like
He did what?
like,
huh?
Even if it's not true.
I shook his hand. What? I sat on that couch. You're like, nah, man. Hey, look, and especially if you are famous, right? What do they always say? They applaud you while you rise.
Yeah, but on your fall.
Right. And then, when you fall, they trying to stomp on you.
Oh yeah, without
man,
question.
you no. Ain't nobody love you that much. Nobody.
No one. So Larry, can I ask you
I was just saying, do you think you could defend P. Diddy right now? Do you think if you could step in, do you think that you could save him somehow? As the world is all against him.
What did I say? I don't make promises.
You pay me to do my best. Great effort.
You find some angles, but the issue that he has is he created a tidal wave of evidence that people have probably been holding on to. That video, allegedly they paid the security to get rid of that video.
Correct.
Did it look gone to you?
It looked very much there in HD. Carter Pork.
Does he have a case against that security?
No.
Yeah, I think they found that on him. I think he kept the video.
And so, regardless of the fact, man, it's if you have something like that has come out, and all the allegations that were made, what else is out there that potentially can come back and get you?
You know.
Do you listen to any hip hop?
I'm a hip hop head.
Drake and Kendrick.
I'm not getting into that.
No. Does Drake have a case against Kendrick?
I'm not. Listen, both Drake and Kendrick. I don't have anything. Look, man, y'all take care of your families, live a good life, and just keep it peaceful. Keep it peaceful.
Can I get your moral take on statutes of limitations? In the Puff Daddy situation, New York opened up the statute for people to call on assault that happened. You know, they opened it up to where when you look at something that they say, well, 7 years. Let's just throw that number out there. If this happened 6 years ago, you got a case. But if it happened 7 years and 3 months ago, we can't do nothing about it. Morally speaking, I'm always going to go with the law, man. I'm always going to go with the law, because anytime that we start picking and choosing what we're doing, then at some point somebody can say, well, I think lynching of people of color is cool. I mean, it's been done before. I mean, and they still here. Why we can't go back to doing that, right? I need something that's solid. I don't need something that at somebody's whim, they feel a certain way, because if they do that, I guarantee you won't get the same protections as someone else. And how far and how much, you're an adult, right? You're an adult. I understand, because I represent these women and children. But I can only operate within the confines of the law. And I think it's dangerous to open it up to a free-for-all based on the situation. Even though I think some people are monsters. But you know the great thing about monsters? They are creatures of habit. So
if I don't get you now, I'll get you later.
I always ask this question, which is again, it's and again, we're just talking morals. It's just interesting that laws based on invisible line of a state could change just from touching one side of the road to crossing the other.
You talking about Texas and Oklahoma and marijuana?
Let's just say that. How I could be on this side of the road and this could be my fate, or I could be on that side of the road and that is my fate. Like, it's...
You wanna know something even more dangerous?
Go ahead.
On one side of the road, you could have 100 extra feet or 100 less feet. And so you think you safe, but you're on the wrong side of the road. And the state line actually goes this.
That parcel zigzags to where it's still over here.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the THC laws in this country, it's actually a federal question. Some lawyers probably gonna, if a lawyer sees this, that does this, they might take this and use it, but it's a federal question. Anything that prohibits the free flow of commerce is a federal question, and does not the ability for a what do you call them? The shops, the sell THC. What do you call them? Dispensary. Dispensary. You see how the dispensaries are. If I got a dispensary in Oklahoma, but the population, and I'm on the border, and the population in Texas is greater than the population around me, the same distance in Oklahoma, you're preventing me from a client base that could help my business based on a law that you have that is basically chaotic to all the other places. So in Texas, let me give you another PSA. It's a lot of PSAs today.
We want them.
There's a lot of PSAs today. PSA, people, stop smoking and driving.
Whoa, why not?
That is the equivalent. That is the equivalent of drinking and driving.
Okay, say so.
And you can be charged with a DWI. If you take Flintstone vitamins and they cause you to black out, and it's perfectly legal to have, it's not a controlled substance, you can be charged with a DWI. Some lawyers might get on here and say, that's not true, but the law says anything that you do that prevents you from having the mental or physical capacity to operate a motor vehicle, you could be charged.
Okay, so I got to stop popping edibles and driving.
So another
2 miles per hour down the road.
Another PSA. Edibles are a felony.
Talk to them. They cannot go on a carry-on.
Edibles are a felony in Texas. So you have a great time in Colorado. You go get some of the strong stuff in Seattle. You say, man, I got to bring this back with me. You leave the airport, you get through TSA with it, and you decide to drive home, and you decide to go see your girl. You know, you ain't seen her in a while. You leave at 2 a.m, you're driving home, you're not even high. You got 2 bags of gummies. Man, I hope it was a good night, because you might not be seeing your girl for a while.
You might be a drug dealer, my guy.
Could you please tell them about the pens as well?
Anytime that you take THC and it's not a leaf. So I worked with, I got my education from, it's a group of lawyers who are working to legalize marijuana and work with that here in Texas. And so one of the things is, by law, they have to weigh, or basically, from what I've been told, and you can double check and fact check me on this one, but if it's a leaf, they have to basically test the leaf. If there's no leaf in a substance, you basically enter the era of crack versus cocaine. Anytime that you take that THC from one form and transfer it into another form, you have now created a controlled substance, because you have chemically enhanced something that was not meant to be, or has not been chemically enhanced either by a scientist or a licensed scientist or under some kind of regulation. And so you've put yourself in harm's way.
Texas gun laws. How should I be riding with my gun if I have a gun and I don't have a license to carry? But we can get a gun now. So how should we be riding with our gun? Or should we be riding with our gun? Well, I can ride with a gun.
How many cases have you heard of someone who was not of color, who was killed and shot in their car, who owned and had a gun license? Who owned a gun and had a gun license? No, how many of you know have been killed?
Hold on.
No, I said that were not of color.
None.
How many do you know of color that have died, who had a gun license, a gun in the car, and no felonies and no criminal history?
A lot.
You just answered your own question.
So you shouldn't ride with a gun in Texas?
That's your own peril. 10 and 2. Explain everything.
What do you do? I mean, let's just be real.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. What are you doing that you need a gun in your car? Okay. All right. So where is he going in the daytime? Let's just be real about this. Let's just be real. You wearing that, this is what you should be doing. Number one, you should have your own section. You should notify security at the door. You should slide them something. Keep an eye on my table. Anybody comes over to my table, anybody you see, hey man, come take care of this. You got something on that's valuable, have your exit plan to leave out that's different than the way you came in. Pay the owner, pay someone to allow you to go out the back, exit door, either have your driver or instruct the Uber driver to meet you over there, or have the club call you an Uber and just bill you for it.
Me and my sister get in this argument all this time about me having a gun.
Not saying I do that.
Why do you need a gun? And I tell her it's protection to protect, my wife, right? It's not even for me, because I'd probably be able to talk myself out of something, but when it comes to her, I'm not about to play with anybody.
My wife and I were in New Orleans. And so I got street smarts. It's late at night. It's a Tuesday. Ain't nothing really going on. Street sense go off. I said, babe, just hold my hand and make your body limp. So when I pull you and wherever I pull you, you go. Right? No resistance. So we walk. I pull into a store, souvenir store. I said, run. We run to the back of the store. So we crouch down. I look up in the mirror and I see 3 dudes walk in. The same 3 dudes who were following us. They walk down 2 aisles this way. We stay low, walk out of the store, run, get close to our car. I hit the lights, go like this. They freeze. We get in the car and leave.
What did you do? Hold on. You hit the lights?
I hit the lights on the car.
Okay.
Yeah, so they know it's my car. And then open the door and do just enough to make them freeze and I go.
Yeah.
You get out of the shootout with your wife with you. Who's to say she don't get hit by a stray bullet?
Right. Okay. Well, let me present another. You're in the movie theater, and the guy comes in the movie theater, and he starts shooting up the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna say?
Yes, I'm not going. I'm not. Well, whose side of it? You got to go on right now. Okay. So
look, man. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life.
Right.
These questions. Look, no, not lose. No. I'm sorry. I did Freudian slip. If you that concerned about your safety, do other stuff.
Like,
not go to the movies. You know what you do?
What?
You go to the matinees. You know why? Shooters aren't there because it's not enough people. You go to the movies after the first 2 weeks of an opening of a popular movie. Why? Because there's less people in the movie theater. You do things to lessen your danger, right? You ain't gonna ride through the middle of East Texas with Fujiatos and four 15s in the back of your car at night.
I'm not gonna do that. I just feel like there's just so many people out here with guns.
There's a lot of people with guns.
So why would I not have a gun?
And like I used to tell them, the only reason I have a gun is because I ain't gonna get caught on no back street with them good old boys one day. And it's like they done had them a couple beers and now you see that's the only reason I gotta go. I'm gonna get to the house with that.
You have to if you have those concerns, you plan not to be caught in them situations.
Amen.
Because if you prepare to put yourself in harm's way, eventually you're gonna find it. Eventually you could find it. Not saying you most definitely will, but if you're around good old boys, I got a little spot out there in the middle of nowhere with the guys, with the you know what, man? I did a case in the middle of nowhere where they had a Confederate statue and Confederate flag on the wall, and I tried the case. I did such a good job that the good old boys on the jury was like, man, you ain't from around here. Man, come on, let's go get some barbecue and tell us about yourself and all this. I said, sir, it's 6 o'clock.
I'm going
The sun is setting at 6:45, and all I need is for somebody who's not with us to have 1 or 2 drinks to ask themselves, why is he here?
Right.
Sir, I'm going home. Thank you for if you need me, call me, but I'll only be here between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Amen. Amen. So let me ask you, in regards to Donald Trump, his life was on the line in which an assassin tried to take him out, assassination attempt, it hit his ear. The Secret Service took out the assailant right there on the spot. And I just want to get your take on, as far as when it comes to scenarios like this, you know, let's just say the Secret Service in this sense, being the judge, jury, and executioner, not having to have that person see, you know, their day in court to understand why, to get more details of, you know, about the assassination attempt, to where, you know, shoot to kill, take him out. We don't know his story except for what we find after the fact.
So let's think about that. It's a man on a building who shot at the president.
It's a man. It's a man.
Who has the time to say, stop shooting and then climb up there in time so he doesn't get another shot off?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he had to.
It doesn't work like that. And let's just be honest. It is public knowledge, and everyone knows this. When you're in that zone, there's certain zones you're in. You can't go to the FDIC and sit in front of it and rev up your truck without catching one. There's certain zones and certain areas that if you pose a threat, you understand that there is no talking to you, because their job is to eliminate the threat, not necessarily assess if you're going to do more harm, not assess. No. Once you have positioned yourself as a threat, you will be treated and taken out as a threat. And I'm not saying that as pro party of any party, right?
Right.
But that situation, that person knew what they were putting themselves up against.
From a person who lives in the courtroom, would you like to understand or go through to see just to see a case, to get the details of how, what, when, where, why? Was there more? Was it a plan? What was your mindset? From a person who, of course, tries cases, would you have wanted to see a situation like that? I would like to see that man's day in court so we can understand what's going on and maybe prevent this again from happening in the future or another attempt.
So someone who has worked in law enforcement and the government, they have an understanding. Someone will comb through every detail, looking at his DNA, looking at his medical history, looking at his library card, looking at his internet search, looking at everything about him. And there are people who are trained to come up and calculate what he was thinking, what his ideals were, and find out exactly. Very few times does someone wipe out their whole existence and move in a manner such as that where they leave no trace. But I guarantee you, they will trace it and do it. And chances are not necessarily make that public, because what happens, right? What happens when you start look at the situation during the protests across the country? These guys were out here shooting at protesters, and they didn't die. They told their story. They were seen on TV, and what happened? Other people did the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where you probably have less chances of it duplicating if you don't give people information to hang their hat on.
Understandable. Understandable. Okay. And it's funny because before I move on from that, the Vegas shooter who was at the Mandalay Bay, they're still scratching their heads on why. Now, mind you, he took himself out, I believe. But those are situations where if he would have saw a day in court, you could probably understand the psychology. But you're right. It may not even matter. And it's best to not even let the information out if it's something detrimental. Lastly, before I let you get out of here, Larry, I want to ask you about, there's one case you're working on, which was the Ozempic case. What is going on? Because I don't know much about Ozempic except that maybe Oprah took it. What's going on with Ozempic in which you're attached to that?
So the drug was originally designed to help people who had diabetes, right? To help you crave your cravings or bring down your cravings, to help you with your A1Cs. Eventually, they found out that it could help you lose weight. Then everybody wanted it. The problem with that is what it does is it slows down your digestive system to the point, and in some people, it basically brings it to a halt. And it has the potential. We have a couple of clients who've actually died because of that. And so it is potentially dangerous. And so, this drug out here, the way it is without the proper warnings and things of that nature, that's what happens with drug companies and other manufacturers that create some kind of pharmaceutical product or some kind of beauty product of something of that nature, similar to what we have with the hair relaxer cases. There's not warnings to give people those options or give them the understanding of the health risks that they're taking on by purchasing and using these products. And that is a problem because, you have companies out there who understand that if we sell it enough, by the time we get sued, we'll have enough to pay the lawsuit. And so people look at us and they think sometimes about the money. But if it wasn't for lawyers, companies would be still dumping blood in the Trinity from the hog slaughtering company. Companies would be purchasing land in communities of color and storing their waste, oil waste,
We had in West Dallas, we had the lead situation in West Dallas that was detrimental to the whole community.
Exactly. And so we sue monetarily. That's the only thing that you can do to hurt a company, right? That's the only thing that you can do because ain't nobody going to jail in some cases. But we make them stop or warn. And they won't stop and they won't warn unless they're sued.
Ozempic, have they stopped or have they warned or has anything?
They've started to warn people about what has or some of the negative effects of taking these products.
Okay. I wonder about the. I was gonna say we're gonna talk about. I don't want to talk about it. I was gonna go vaccine, but we're not gonna go back. We're not gonna go vaccine. We'll stay away from that. No, I'm more worried about that. We're gonna stay away from that. Well, with that being said, Larry, again, it's been a wealth of knowledge, and again, And shout out Heidi, because Heidi actually put us on to you in regards to your works. And I will say you're a miracle worker. I don't know how you do what you do, but somehow you know the law. Yeah, somehow you bend it to your will. You are the airbender or the law bender of avatars of law. So with that being said, I definitely want to, of course, rein back in on how people can get at you, get to not only your law firm, to you personally. Like you said, you're advocating your personal space into helping your community out. All the platforms in which people can get in touch with you or even just speak with you outside of this interview.
So, we have a YouTube channel that we're about to launch. We have a couple of interviews on there right now. We actually have Ozempic on there right now. My partner, Danae Benton, who is one of the lead attorneys in that litigation, is talking about Ozempic on that. And it's, go to the website and it'll be posted on there. We're posting it on tailormadelaw.com.
That's a big one. No pun intended.
Yeah, tailormadelaw.com. And some information can be found also on our firm website, CochranTexas.com. And that's Texas spelled out. My Instagram is Larry Taylor II. And so, I'm trying to do a better job at becoming more public in a sense. I don't like it. But man, I think at this point in my juncture in my life, like I told you, it's about a year. If I don't tell people that simple things like gummies are felonies, then when they finally get arrested for it, it's a surprise. And so they don't do the things that necessarily they need to do in order to protect themselves, right? Like, you won't keep it in your center console or in your cup holder. You'll put it in your trunk or put it in your bag, and you'll wait till you get to your destination. Some people don't know that you can get arrested for a DWI for ingesting weed. Yeah, because you smoking in your car. If I was a police officer, I'd probably have an average of 3 arrests a day. Just driving around with my window slightly down. And as soon as I smell marijuana coming from one of the cars in front of me, I would look to find which one and trail it, pull it over. All I got to do is arrest you, get a blood warrant. And if you have THC in your system, you got a DWI, my friend.
Are you your counterparts? When I look at like Gotti Martin, Car Cowboy, Lee Merritt, do lawyers convene together and discuss cases or law? Or
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I can't speak for anybody else, but I ain't got a problem with anybody and what they have, because what's for me is for me. And if you can teach me something or give me something that will help my clients, I'm always open. And if you ask me about something and I can teach you, I'll do the same. My organization that I started with Ben Crump and 6 other attorneys, called the Shades of Mass. We created the first organization for lawyers of color to come together and learn about mass tort litigation and class actions, because it affects our communities, but it's only a handful of us in the entire country doing it at the level that we're doing it at. And it is sad for that. And no one wants to really pour into our communities. But you had 6 of us? I think it was 6 of us who started this organization, who came together and say, look, man, ain't nobody trying to hoard all the knowledge.
there you go.
Ain't nobody trying to hoard all this. And so we've formed this organization to share. And dude, that's what I live my life on. I think I started this conversation saying that my purpose is to affect positive change and knowledge into my community and be a benefit to my community. and not necessarily just be someone out here harvesting.
And lastly, if there's a law you could either take away or add, not Bill of Rights or nothing like that, but just a law in general, a state law. Give me a law that you would like to see abolished or added, or we need to have more laws on this.
Tort reform.
Oh, yeah, please speak. Yeah.
Tort reform. Putting caps and putting barriers to keep people from bringing lawsuits. To give you a perfect example, I probably should stay away from that one. I probably should stay away from that. Let me just say this. When people get harmed, whether it's in a hospital, perfect example. Lady called us and her child died because they misdiagnosed the flu with meningitis. Baby died. Lawyer from another state called. I don't really do med mal. Brought in another lawyer who did med mal. And because of the caps and because the baby died, the family was looking at, after all was done, maybe $100,000. And then you having to carve that up and split it with your lawyer. A lawyer's not going to take it. Because who's going to go through and put $500,000 of hours and resources into a case that you might only come home with $40,000 on? And so tort reform made it where people could not hire a lawyer to represent them when they've been harmed, because neither them or the lawyer would be able to financially litigate their case. Tort reform has to change.
Oh, that makes sense. All right, with that being said, are there any shout outs you'd like to give for those who got you to this point of your journey? Any you want to throw out there?
Man, I like to give a shout out to my people in the Greenspoint area in Houston, because they've always done a really good job and still do a good job at protecting me and making sure that, when I come home, it always humbles me when they bring their kids over to the house and say, this is one of ours that actually made it out. And so, then you got Big Head Heidi, who help set this up. And you guys, man, and what you do, you don't understand that the quality and production that you guys are putting out actually shows a form of Black excellence from young brothers and sisters out here trying to make their mark and do it the right way and do it professionally. There's no Polaroids out here. I'm looking at these super high-powered Nikons and digital cameras and 4K, 8K, whatever the heck you guys are using. And then y'all got this young brother over here running the boards and training up the next generation. That's what we should be about. And so you guys get the big shout out for what you guys are doing and trying to do.
We thank you for that. Larry, a lot of people come in here and they articulate very well. They always dress nice, but you have a sense of integrity about yourself, man, brother, and it speaks volumes. I know everything you're telling us. Well, not that you said it, but I'm sure like anybody who's ever met you or came in contact with you was a better person for it. We just like to thank you for coming on the show. We can't wait to have you back again, man. This is the best part. Larry Taylor, you are a real life street star.
Thank you.
Thank you.